I don't like how this doesn't do anything until turn 4, so I'm going to keep it and hope that we draw something for it to do on turns before turn 4. Alternatively, the opponent could be on a control mirror, and then I don't care because I have Unexpected Windfall and land drops, and that's all you need in control mirrors. Duress! No! My Unexpected Windfall! What a world, what a world. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to take the Unexpected Windfall here. I don't think... Huh. Okay. Alright. Opponent thinks Spikefield Hazard is the take. Curious. I'm interested to see where that goes. Maybe they know something I don't that makes that seem like a good choice. Hoping to make me just not hit any land drops is technically a viable strategy. Hermit in the main board would be unlikely, but possible. Flamemeister 760 and Udenreek 93 and Kevzegd. Thanks for following. Sorry I missed some of those notifications an hour ago, apparently. Alright, not going to foretell Behold the Multiverse here, because if the opponent tapped out for a draw spell on the end of my turn, I wanted to play Unexpected Windfall instead. But here, I can just play the Behold the Multiverse from hand. Yeah, Behold, Unexpected Windfall, and Iteration are all cards that really help control mirrors go in the blue-red deck's favor. Oh, wow. Nothing, opponent? That's rough. I think this is a fine opportunity for Celestus. Oh, doesn't even get countered? Cool. Okay. Well, we're set up to Galvanic Iteration Unexpected Windfall on a turn. What do you got, opponent? You got 6 mana over there and you haven't managed to do anything relevant yet. Teferi? Okay, I don't care. That's fine. Oh, you can tap down my Celestus? Is that how that works? That's cute. Alright, I'll cast a Behold the Multiverse now then. I do like Divide by Zero. I don't like Fading Hope. I hope I hit a land drop here. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of awkward if I have to sorcery speed this Windfall nonsense. I do not. We hit multiple lands. Life's pretty good. Do I bother Galvanicing Windfall now, or do I wait? I can probably wait. Doesn't hurt too much. Do I represent Galvanic Windfall up through their turn, or do I just jam the Sorin and hold up Divide by Zero? I think I like jamming the Sorin and holding up Divide by Zero and waiting to Unexpected Windfall. Maybe that's me playing slightly too slow. Also, I should have cast it with Celestus. Now they get to tap down the Celestus in my main phase and then resolve something on the second main phase, which is pretty bad for me. So, Auto Tapper has failed me. You'd think it would be for the last time, but it won't be. I'm down taking Sorin here because the 2-3 attacking Teferi and making it slightly harder for it to ultimate is probably better for me in the long run. And also, I'm expecting that the Sorin probably gets Vanishing Burst there, considering how little the opponent has had to do up until now. Makes sense that they'd have a Vanishing Burst. And so, having the onboard objects split is kind of better. Discover the formula. Alright, so the opponent could have upticked Teferi and done that in their second main phase and actually resolved it, and that would have been pretty bad for me. But not super bad, because I would still just untap double Galvanic Iteration into Unexpected Windfall and be like, infinity billion ahead. But instead I'm like 2 infinity billion ahead. Yeah. Still good stuff. 4-2. Yeah, okay. Like this. Alright, opponent, how many answers to Unexpected Windfall do you have? Because I would like to draw 6 cards and make 6 mana. We cut the 3rd Sorin in the sideboard for the 3rd Meathook Massacre. Oh, hey, Lier. That seems good. Shoot. All 6 cards we drew were really good, and so now it's kind of hard to decide what to get rid of. I was hoping we draw, like, a Fading Hope or something else that was bad, so I could just get rid of the bad card. But I guess 2 lands is probably plenty. Opponent tries to cast Discover the Formula. I don't think that will resolve. We'll get Environmental Sciences, why not? Does the opponent continue upticking the Teferi? Opponent continues upticking the Teferi. Play land, continue poking Teferi. Could play Lier here. Which gives me double divide by 0. That wouldn't be great if the opponent has Vanishing Verse. I think I'm just going to Environmental Sciences, put a land in hand, and then do a bunch of Galvanicing, Behold the Multiversing on my opponent's turn. I guess I could also Mascot Exhibition, because I want a card draw to try to take an extra turn spell. And win the game that way. Opponent down ticks Teferi, puts it in range of dying to the vampire. They probably get to resolve Discover the Formula this turn. I'm just not entirely certain that I care at all about that. Opponent plays Key to the Archive. Sure. Alright, so our opponent is halfway in an ideal world towards setting up Time Warp plus approach. But we're about to remove the Teferi. We have the opportunity to remove the key whenever we want. And the opponent doesn't have infinity mana, so this will theoretically be kind of difficult for them to pull off. Alright, let's Galvanic, and then cast Behold. And we're basically just looking for a Time Warp here, or Time Walk. Well, both are accurate, I suppose. A-Alrund's Epiphany, that's the name of the card I'm actually trying to remember. Infernal Grasp, not useful. Spikefield Hazard, Jwari, not really correct. Alright, well, we did find Unexpected Windfall plus Galvanic Iteration, so, like, that's pretty cool, too. Some lands, sure. We're going to destroy that there key, yes. And then we're going to kill the Teferi, yes. And the opponent's going to not have cards or mana, and that seems good. I could once again play out Lier or Mascot Exhibition, but I remain unconvinced of why I should do that, when instead I can just draw cards. Opponent plays Discover the Formula. Alright, in response to that, we are going to Galvanic Iteration. And then I think we're going to Galvanic Iteration. And then I think we're going to Unexpected Windfall. And hope that drawing 6 cards and making 6 mana finds us something to do. And if it finds us literally nothing to do, well, that's probably fine too. If the opponent tries to interact with this by divide by zeroing something, then Jwari Disruption turns into an actual counterspell on their card draw spell. We draw 2, make some mana. Sorin's fine. Draw 2, make some mana, nothing relevant. Draw 2, make some mana, nothing relevant. Okay. Well, that's the beginning of us potentially not having 100% chance to win this game. I didn't, like, discard an A-Alrund's Epiphany already or anything, right? No. Okay. Key to the Archive. It's probably worth Jwari Disruptioning. I don't have too much better to do with all my mana right now. And we don't need the opponent getting the other half of the A-Alrund's or the Time Warp plus Approach of the Second Sun. That's it. I knew there was another win con that had an A. We don't need them getting both halves of that combo. Hey, there it is. Alright, Galvanic Iteration, A-Alrund's Epiphany. Did this in the wrong order. Should have cast Lier first. Would have cost 1 less mana to flashback Galvanic Iteration. Me is fine. I guess we can just, like, Mascot Exhibition instead and win the game. That works too. Works for me. Alright. Well, what do we do now? I think we cut an Abrade and a bunch of Fading Hopes and a bunch of Meathook Massacres. And then we play some Disdainful Strokes and some Hermits and, like, Go Blanks and maybe a Hullbreaker Horror, maybe not. Who can say? And then did we cut the Sorins? I feel like we cut the Sorins. I don't recall whether I cut the Sorins or the Horrors. I really should have a plan for this, shouldn't I? And let's split the difference and see what happens. I don't know. Yeah, I don't feel like I need 2 Hullbreakers. I just don't know whether Sorin does more than Hullbreaker or not. Hard to say. They both get answered by Vanishing Verse. Okay. This hand's a little sketchy, sort of. Yeah, and then I drew a land, so now it's not sketchy anymore. It has a Disdainful Stroke. That's pretty tempting. Opponent has considered? Yes. Still don't know how I feel about running cantrips. It hurts your aggro matchups, and that makes me sad. Malevolent Hermit. That is pretty annoying. I still am not convinced that Esper should be playing Malevolent Hermit when it can play Test of Talons instead, but yeah, I don't know. I can't really Abrade Malevolent Hermit, because then they bring it back, and my Disdainful Stroke is bad. It's going to take them until 5 mana to have 4-drop plus Malevolent Hermit counterspell up, at which point I now have double Disdainful Stroke up. I guess I could even Abrade the Hermit and then Disdainful Stroke. I do need to successfully not die to Hermit beating me down in the face, though. So that is something to be mindful of. Now, the awkward spot here is that if I try to play Behold the Multiverse, they could resolve a Memory Deluge and counter my Behold. Am I okay with that? I'd like to wait until I'm theoretically representing Galvanic Iteration plus Windfall the turn after I do that Behold play. And I drew a land, so we can do that. Lovely. And the opponent didn't have anything to do on my end of turn. That sounds like a wonderful setup to me. Presumably that's mostly the opponent having a bunch of 4-mana sorceries in hand, which is the problem that that deck runs into. Yeah, I should probably Behold here. There's a decent chance this gets Test of Talents did or something. Okay, just Disdainful Stroke. That works. Test of Talents isn't that great in the Keymirror, or is it? Yeah, it's not great, but Hermit also tends to fall off very hard in the Keymirror if it doesn't come down very early. Because there's not a ton of ways that these decks end mirrors. And so you get to the point where it just gets so late in the game that Hermit doesn't counter anything anymore. I don't know. Maybe you're supposed to try to do some sort of tempo play on the first couple of turns, and then that's relevant. The Hall of Storm Giants is actually like a pretty significant problem right now. I don't know how I'm going to avoid dying to that. Step 1 is by not going to 7 life. All the Storm Giants is a lot weaker if it doesn't kill you instantly. Okay, I appreciate making that land drop. Opponent has Benevolent Geist. Very well. Opponent has 5 mana. Not my favorite. I think we're discarding Disdainful Stroke here on account of the opponent having Benevolent Geist anyway. Is 2 Lier the optimal amount? 1 more Lier than that and 1 more Fading Hope could be... What? What is this? Why would you divide by 0 the Galvanic and not the copy? Lier is essentially at its best when it's an anti-aggro card, and I wouldn't hate more, but I don't like having more Liers than 2 in any kind of control mirrors. So 2 is the number I'm comfortable with. I'm wondering if I should just divide by 0 the Benevolent Geist here. I don't love using the divide by 0, but it does eat their mana at least a little bit. And help keep my life total somewhat under control. So the pause here means either Test of Talents or Vanishing Verse, because their own Hermit was a legal target for Vanishing Verse. I think I want a Sciences for a red source here, because being able to double Galvanic into Windfall at some point might be relevant. But despite that, I'm still playing the island because I might... I guess there's no way I'm ever going to Galvanic Counterspell against them, is there? So that wasn't actually relevant. I'm used to Galvanic Counterspell being relevant against other Izzet decks, but the only time that's ever relevant is if you play Galvanic Iteration. Alright, well, with Hermit on the stack, I think I'm supposed to Galvanic Windfall. Okay, so this pause is still potentially Hall of the Storm Giants and not necessarily Test of Talents. I think we discard Disdainful Stroke over the mountain here. And hopefully the opponent doesn't have 2 counterspells in hand. That would suck. Jwari Disruption is 1 counterspell. No Divide by 0? Alright, that's something at least. They resolve Hermit. Sure. Go blank, huh? That's pretty bad for me. I'm kind of flooding out. And that gets rid of my iteration. Yeah, I'm really flooding out. That's a problem. Okay, land for Epiphany. I have not managed to find much card advantage, huh? I say that despite having drawn Behold the Multiverse, Galvanic, and Windfall. Wait, that All-Round Epiphany is the one that's foretold. Okay. I guess part of the problem is that I've drawn Disdainful Strokes and Abrades and my opponent hasn't had any target for him. Windfall's sort of card advantage when you have Galvanic. I just didn't really get to take too much advantage of that because my opponent had a counterspell for both of them, more or less. The Go Blank functionally card advantage in that spot. Ideally, we find another Galvanic here. I do not want my opponent having Key, I don't think. Lets them turn the Teachings into an actual card. Too much risk there. Malevolent Hermit, huh? Yeah? Well, the fact that my opponent drew the 1 of Hull means that I'm in pretty significant danger of getting beaten down here. So if I cast Alrund's Epiphany, they sack both Hermits and wind up countering it. I guess that's an okay trade for me. I think they're just supposed to do that. Otherwise, I still kill both Hermits with the birds, and I get to draw a card. Although I guess putting Alrund's Epiphany in the graveyard is technically bad if I draw Lier later on, which makes countering it have a downside. If they hit a land here, they can just land Teachings, and if it's an untapped land, they can also attack with Hull. I think that's pretty stellar for them. Lier. Okay. Yeah, that was an excellent top deck. Now they get to go blank my Divide by 0. And exile the Alrund's Epiphany from my graveyard. Ugh. And my opponent finding those and me... Oh, wow, that is a huge mistake. They should not have passed there. They gave me an opportunity to draw go blank and be very, very ahead. Okay. Behold the Multiverse. Well, not ahead, but unbehind. Slightly unbehind. Lands is no. Okay. Oh, go blank is fine, but I think I don't have enough mana now. Yeah, I'm like 1 life short. If I was at 11, this would be manageable. Okay, I should give them the opportunity to mess up. So I divide by 0 the Lier. They should divide by 0 this divide by 0 in response. They consider. Okay. After they divide by 0 this, I have to just play the land and divide by 0 again. Otherwise, I die to the Lier plus land animate. Oh, if they didn't have the hull. If they didn't have the hull. I think I have to grab Mascot Exhibition here. But again, they get the opportunity to make the same play they should have made last turn, which is to just play Lier into go blank. Yeah, this time they make the right play. It doesn't really leave me out. Well. Alright, never mind. It's sort of an out. Okay. How do you want to play this, opponent? Do you just get in there with Hull? You try to push for lethal and see if I drew anything. No, they swing with Lier. Alright. You draw a Divide by Zero? Yeah, you did. Okay. So I need to draw the other go blank now, I think? That's still not good enough. Well, it's not good enough. I go blank, they divide by zero, they go blank. I play Hullbreaker Horror. I'm not technically dead. Teferi. Oh yeah, because that untaps a land, it still gives them divide by zero. Sure. Well, that doesn't do it. Ah, the go blank's so good. Would it mine had come earlier? Any change to Sorin versus Hullbreaker Horror? No. Actually, I think the way the Malevolent Hermit's played out made me kind of feel like I value Sorin slightly more, if anything. Changes? No, I don't think so. Uncertain whether Disdainful Stroke is something that I should value highly enough to play 3? Probably is. Maybe isn't. Probably is. Alright, hopefully this time around they don't have the one-of Hull to make my life way less convenient. No card advantage. Hey, Corey B, MTG! Thanks for the raid! You join us playing Grixis Control against Esper Control and trying to decide if we should keep this hand that doesn't do anything because it's got 4 lands. Yeah, I should keep a hand that has 4 lands and good mana. I'm not here to mulligan hands pretty much ever. That's not what I signed up to do. Duress takes a Disdainful Stroke. Alright. Hey Chris, is this deck playable for tomorrow? I want to play Epiphany so bad but can't figure out a good list. This is about as good as I've been able to get Epiphany. I like the fact that Epiphany really beats up Control Mirrors more efficiently than I think any other deck. I didn't like the fact that its aggro matchups aren't stellar. 6 and 2 Death on Breakers. Oof. Rough. But so far, this has been the best version of Epiphany that I've managed to get in terms of actually having decent aggro matchups. So I think it's pretty likely to be what I'm going to play tomorrow. I've been satisfied with it. No, the Celestus can't be countered by Disdainful Stroke. What a world, what a world. Ooh, okay. The double Duress. Wow, so they're going double Duress and double Go Blank, huh? That's aggressive. Alright, alright. Opponent, you are slightly ahead. But I have land drops to make, and that's pretty good. Looting away lands? Opponent. What? Okay. A Sorin is a card we could play at some point. No. Oh, opponent, how come you have to have card advantage? Making my life so tough. Alright, we'll take teachings. If you're going to have card advantage, at least I should get paid for it. You want to try to resolve something while you can, opponent? Alright, well, I think I'm discarding Lier. And probably the Pathway. And I'm hoping they aren't holding up a counterspell here. Okay. So. Go blank's an interesting draw. I don't like the idea of go blanking and leaving them with Memory Deluge. But they didn't make a land drop there, right? I guess I can't tell whether they did or not. If they didn't make a land drop, and they chose not to behold or to Memory Deluge before go blanking, that means they probably have Divide by Zero here, and that's really bad for me. I don't know. I don't think doing nothing is a good idea either, though. I still got to get the Divide by Zero out of their hand eventually. I can check if they have Divide, but I don't think it actually changes my play. Oh, okay, cool. I guess that makes it better for me to have cast Go Blank, but that's a lot better than that getting divided. Oh, I should have not paid and represented a counterspell. Would have been slightly better. Oh, opponent gets to duress my Go Blank. I see. Alright, well, we'll just top deck another Go Blank. It'll be fine. This has been a rather brutal series of the opponent having cards that line up extremely well against mine a turn early. Alright, let's draw Go Blank. Just draw Go Blank. Draw Go Blank and win the game. Easy. Easy stuff. Land is not a Go Blank. That's a pain. Alright. We play Sorin, we uptick Sorin. We reveal Jwari Disruption and play it as a land. So the opponent could duress us this turn, and we don't want them to actually be able to get rid of a card with it. So we might as well make a land drop and then potentially fizzle the duress. Lier clocking Sorin is annoyingly decent. Land drop for the opponent. They do, in fact, use the duress and accomplish nothing. We like that. Malevolent Hermit is a chump block on Lier. Okay. Sorin, uptick, a little bit of card advantage. land. Not great, but sure. Alright, Malevolent Hermit here to chump block the Lier. Opponent gets to resolve Memory Deluge. They cast it in response. They have total information, so there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. We are definitely feeling the lack of ability to interact currently. Teferi being uncounterable means it's not worth countering, but it also kills Sorin, and that's a problem. Yeah, we're approaching the point at which this isn't winnable. Potentially, if they don't find an answer to Hullbreaker Horror, I could draw into that, or I could draw lands, and that's not really gonna get us out of this, unfortunately. Opponent gets to Memory Deluge and consider, put 3 cards in hand. Definitely awkward. The Disdainful Strokes we got sniped by the Duresses early on didn't really wind up mattering either way. So what really did make this go so poorly? Our total lack of drawing card advantage, I suppose? Yeah, probably that. I think that's the most relevant factor here. The way that their Go Blanks and Lier into Duress lined up against our deck did contribute pretty strongly, but that's more due to that being strong against us drawing no card draw than anything else. If we had Unexpected Windfalls or Behold the Multiverses to cast, we would have been in a nicer spot. Untapping Lier, that gives a blocker for Teferi. That's a concern. Alright, opponent, have you... No, Auto Tapper, I don't want to use that red mana. Have you found a Divide by Zero? It still isn't really pulling us very far ahead, unfortunately. And they still haven't used the Go Blank. Okay. Yeah, that is the game. So I had to use the Divide by Zero on the Memory Deluge to deny them card advantage. True or false? Probably true. I'm curious if the opponent actually just completely cut Vanishing Verses against us, in which case I would want to play the second Hullbreaker. Boarding into a ton of Duresses seems kind of weak against that. But I don't really have access to that information, unfortunately. Well, I think the plan remains draw more card advantage than that. Alrighty, on the play... No, probably not supposed to keep that hand. This hand, however, definitely better. Definitely much more keepable. This hand actually gets to do things on the first couple of turns, and I usually prefer that. Want to keep the card on top? Okie dokie. Okay, dragons with the whelp on 2. Now we shall see how scary things get. Immediately into Townraiser Tyrant on 3. Okay. So we get to see how we're gonna do against the opponent with the nut draw. We decline. We want our mana. We have an Abrade. That's not quite good enough to actually answer Townraiser Tyrant, is it? Okay. Flip it to Knight, gain a little bit of life, do a little bit of looting. Rid of Abrade. I don't think I want to Spikefield Hazard the Fearsome Whelp at this point. Maybe I should have kept Abrade because it hits Adult Gold Dragon, which is technically a possibility this turn. Goldspan Dragon. Alright. So opponent's hitting us for 9. Puts us to dead next turn. Which... what's the best thing to do here? Is it Galvanic Iteration into Behold the Multiverse looking for a Meathook? Or is it Unexpected Windfall? What hits can I get off of Unexpected Windfall other than Meathook? I guess Behold the Multiverse has to be Meathook plus untap land, but that seems pretty doable. So I think it's supposed to be Galvanic plus Behold. I guess also if I'm doing that, then I should have Spikefield Hazarded the Fearsome Whelp to take 1 less damage, which could theoretically be a pretty big difference with Townraiser Tyrant burning my lands away. Not discover the formula, not a land. Okay, Galvanic's not good enough, but that is an untapped land. Hullbreaker Horror. No, that's nothing. Alright, failed to find Meathook with anything except the natural draw. I do need this land to get to 6 mana, and failed to find... Okay... No Meathook. Where does that leave us? I can Galvanic Windfall, have 4 mana available. Fading Hope, Fading Hope? Yeah, okay. I guess that's the out. I actually just need to hit 1 Fading Hope because I've got a Galvanic Iteration in the graveyard anyway. Okay, first 2 draws are nothing, second 2 draws are probably nothing. If I place Sorin down, tick block, take 5, gain 2, up to 4, well, technically might not be dead. But probably dead. Dead to removal or haste dragon. Not technically dead to Townraiser Tyrant, only mostly dead to Townraiser Tyrant. Opponent having priority here is a pretty bad sign. Dragonfire is lethal. Okay. Unable to find answers in time. Alrighty, we board into Hullbreaker Horror and Infernal Grasp, and debatably Meathook Massacre. And we think we cut what? Sorin as being possibly too slow. Discover the Formula as possibly being too slow. I guess that's actually all I need to cut, huh? In which case, would I rather have Sorin or Discover? I'd probably rather have Discover. Oh, no. We were boarding in 3 Disdainful Strokes. I need to remember that. That's such a huge factor in this matchup, and I keep not really remembering that that's a thing. Okay. That's why it was hard to board in infinity cards in this matchup. So what else do we cut? I think it was partially that I didn't want Fading Hopes on the play, and I did want them on the draw. I still don't know if Discover the Formula is too slow or not. Meathook's probably... Meathook can be a 3-of for this deck. Abrade is not good on the draw. It's too slow, but on the play it hits Whelp and the 2-mana artifact, so it's a pretty big deal. I think I'm happy to have it on the play, but I'm definitely okay cutting it on the draw. I think I'm supposed to cut Discover the Formula. Probably. We'll see how that goes. Dick play. This is a pretty medium hand that doesn't have an answer to Whelp, but I still think I keep turn 3 Divide by 0. And then we drew an answer to Whelp, and everything was glorious and lovely and beautiful and wonderful. And nothing was ever bad at any point in time. What is the name of this first one? Red? Red. Okay. What do you want to do, opponent? Opponent wants to play a Whelp. Okay. Well, we're going to interact with the Whelp. Drawing more lands. Not perfect, but we have Divide into Unexpected Windfall, and that's definitely a start. Opponent has land into Orb of Dragonkind. I kind of want to Divide by 0 that to make it slightly less likely our opponent has a play next turn. I think I wouldn't Divide by 0 if I didn't have this Unexpected Windfall, but I don't really want to Divide by 0 next turn. Even if my opponent plays some big scary dragon. So, yeah, we're just going to do this for tempo purposes and then plan to play Unexpected Windfall and try to get out on a mana advantage to take over the game that way. And hope that helps fix our problem of flooding out that we're currently experiencing. Opponent finds Townraiser Tyrant. Yep, that is the scary one. Alright, Divide by 0's a card. We'll decline to sacrifice anything. Unexpected Windfall is more cards. That's a start. I could Teachings into Divide by 0, or I could wait, see if my opponent has any play here. I'm probably just supposed to Unexpected Windfall as a sorcery. Because we're definitely trying to find Hullbreaker Horror to take over the game with. And I think this gets us the furthest towards it. If they do Goldspan or something, then I'm forced to divide by 0, but if they don't have a Goldspan or anything, then I'm pretty happy. And it looks like I'm probably pretty happy. I don't think I want to divide by 0 this Town Razor Tyrant. Maybe I do. I don't know. Prevent the damage. I do give them another Town Razor Tyrant. Put 5 cards in their hand. I have to spend a lot of mana to do that, though. And getting to have treasures might be worth paying life. No, I'm gonna go with it's not, but this is pretty close. I could be very easily convinced that this is a mistake. Although that said, I think I want to loot away a land here. We had an Unexpected Windfall. We don't have any Galvanic Iterations yet. Moderately concerning. Alright, so we could play a land. I could play Teachings to draw 2. I don't know if I actually want to do that compared to playing Unexpected Windfall or Behold the Multiverse, though. Odds are pretty good that our opponent's going to be able to empty their hand pretty quickly, which might make Teachings dead later on. And I have to consider that my opponent named blue with Temple of the Dragon Queen, which means there is a chance that the opponent could just play counter spells sometime soon. I think I'm going to go with Teachings, although I'm not convinced that's correct. We drew Galvanic Iteration, Unexpected Windfall. That feels pretty good. It does not give me Disdainful Stroke for this dragon, which is a problem. Okay, just a Goldspan dragon. It's pretty bad. I probably should have Unexpected Windfall there, because if I hit a Disdainful Stroke for the Goldspan dragon, that was probably important. Is that not the one that was burning earlier? No, it's not. Okay. Alright, so blue, red, Galvanic. Sacrifice the land. Sacrifice the land. Yeah. Unexpected Windfall, discarding a land. We are not finding a lot of interaction currently. The Fading Hope isn't terrible, at least. Gives us something to do with a Lier eventually. But we really gotta find some removal. Inferno. Alright, moderately concerning. It's gonna cost me more of my treasures. We bounce the Inferno, and bounce the Goldspan. Take some damage. No lands burning. That's nice. Abrade, a little late at this point. No land drop. Alright. Well, played a Lier. We have some Divide by 0 and some Fading Hope. We just don't really have the mana to do any of that. I don't like the fact that, like, it kind of lies about how much less stuff costs to cast, because there's radically different highlighting and placement of the granted abilities. So my understanding is this Inferno costs 4 and the Goldspan costs 3 currently. Wasn't it better to cast Teachings last turn if you were likely to play Divide anyway? Is unfortunately too far gone from that point, and I have no memory whatsoever of what the board state was like at that point. Alright, opponent plays Goldspan. That's going to get Fading Hoped. Wee's going to go to 1. I don't think I can really stabilize from this point. Too many missed land drops, too many burnt land. I guess we've only missed like 1 land drop, but... yeah. Not enough Disdainful Strokes to counter Townraiser Tyrants. So we have Spikefield Hazard for Fearsome Whelp. That's something, I guess. We do not have for 2 Fearsome Whelps. It's a problem. Opponent's hand costs no mana and includes 2 creatures with haste. Problems, 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 problems. So how do we find A-Alrund's Epiphany? Do I have that in my deck still? I'm pretty sure I didn't cut it. The sideboard is a lie. Cool. Alright. So at this point, if we hit A-Alrund's Epiphany, it's not even... oh, 2 A-Alrund's Epiphanies, though. I was going to say the first one isn't really even that helpful because it sets us back on mana. But having the second isn't terrible. I think we're still going to be 1 mana short regardless, though. So Disdainful Stroke answers Goldspan. Spikefield answers Fearsome Whelp. Disdainful, Spikefield, Goldspan. I think we're still not quite there, are we? So close, but so far. Stroke doesn't answer anything with Lier in play. That's a good point. That's a good point. Not the order we wanted to draw these cards in. So would definitely have preferred that to have been a land drop. So we could at least A-Alrund's Epiphany and Spikefield a Whelp. Oh, horror! There were so many turns you could have shown up and been the difference at like any turn before the opponent's last turn. Alright. How do we do this? Divide by 0, Townraiser Tyrant. How many red sources does the opponent have? Too many because of Orb of Dragonkind, which actually lets them filter colorless sources into double red. Right. Opponent is at 8. I don't have the ability to do 8 damage. If I pass, it becomes Night. That actually answers 1 Whelp. Is that good enough? I don't think so. But we could loot into something, possibly. I can't believe how close we were if this Disdainful Stroke was an untapped land instead. Or even a tap land. honestly. If I had enough mana to... what, Hullbreaker plus Spikefield? That wouldn't really be enough. Divide, divide. Yeah, alright, that's an Inferno. Galvanic, divide. Yeah, if I had one more mana, that would have been enough. Not necessarily to win, but at least to survive. Never mind. Not enough to survive. Alright, alright. So, Galvanic. Galvanic. Divide. 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 Blue. Oh, untap lands. Where were you? So, at what point did that go wrong? Drawing way too many lands early and then not anywhere near enough lands after that? Which I suppose makes sense that I struggled to draw lands, given there was a point in the game at which I discarded like 7 of them. Yeah, alright. That helps thin the deck a little bit. How acceptable is it to mulligan against dragons for early interaction? How badly do we need / not need card advantage to win this matchup? Because short of trying to find Hullbreaker more quickly, I think that's probably the most impactful change I can make to how I'm playing this. There was also the turn that I played the Unexpected Windfall instead of holding up Divide by 0 for the Townraiser Tyrant. It's Will and Rowan worth considering. Discount on the flashback and 3 CMC Ultimate Galvanic on cast. I don't think that that's necessarily any better than Celestus, and it's much easier to remove. Whereas Celestus getting played and providing a mana advantage and allowing you to immediately Fading Hope stuff is probably meaningful. Additionally, I suppose if this Abrade had been a Fading Hope, there is a pretty strong chance we could have won the game. Maybe that's a big difference. Maybe I'm just never supposed to keep Abrade in, play or draw for the Fearsome Whelp. That's a possibility.